Speaker says we got 3 people watching and we got 3 likes. That's a 100% ratio. 4 people watching and 4 likes. I like it. If we can keep that trend up, this video might actually reach some people. That's what YouTube says. If you have a high like percentage, you're more likely to end up in the algorithm. But then when they start taking your likes away and you never reach that algorithm, like this, think about it, you guys. I'm approaching the 3,000th video on this channel, and not a single video has done well in the views. I mean, that's never happened before. It's never happened before. I have to do as many views or as many videos in a whole month to get what I averaged on one video 8 years ago. That's how bad the censorship is. And why are we getting censored? Because we figured out what's going on in the world truly, and YouTube is doing all they can to stop us from getting out the message. And here we are again. I'm going to talk about all the same stuff I've talked about over and over again, and I got to continue to beat the dead horse because the world still doesn't know about it. The Jesuits run this nation. The Jesuits are behind Russia-Ukraine. The Jesuits are behind Israel-Hamas. The Jesuits are behind Puppet Trump and Puppet Biden. Putin, Zelensky, all of them. And that's why the latest Trump-Putin summit will be on the Jesuit Order's birthday, August 15th, a day of funny business all throughout history. Remember after that, the towers came down in a Jesuit ritual, and then we went to war for 20 years when they told us it was just going to be a couple weeks, how it all ended in a horrible exit from Afghanistan on the Jesuit Order's birthday, which is also the formal or informal anniversary of the end of World War II. Again, you study the Jesuits, you realize their major dates are recurring in the things that have shaped world history. And August 15th, the day of the Trump-Putin meeting, is again the Jesuit Order's birthday. The Jesuits were born August 15th, 1534. A lot of people have already turned off the video because they're like, who are the Jesuits? I got a ball game to watch. The Jesuits are the people that founders warned about who were in suppression at the time this nation was created. And a large part of the reason this nation was created is because of the Jesuits and the church that they serve, the Catholic Church. It really is crazy that people don't know anything about history. Again, the Protestant Reformation was this movement against the corrupt Catholic Church that wanted to own people and use them for nonstop revenues. That's why the Vatican is that massive palace that it is, and the Catholic Church has all the buildings and structures they do across the world. But yeah, if you don't know the history of the Protestant Reformation and getting away from the church's tyranny and indulgences, again, the church is clever. It got more in the business of government, and it runs this nation. And yes, it does. And don't be like, well, what about separation of church and state? Again, that's the tricky business. What about the fact that churches don't pay taxes and they're the only thing that doesn't? Think about that. Again, the Jesuit Order's birthday strikes again. This war that supposedly caused all this inflation and sent energy prices through the roof. Remember, it came just in time right after Klaus Schwab, the Jesuit who created the World Economic Forum, said, you'll own nothing and be happy by 2030. Since then, we've had the mass printing of money, thanks to Jesuit puppet Trump, this war. Again, they've all been executed by the same code, and they're all the excuses being used to, again, gain greater control over us and reduce our quality of life and make it harder for all of us to exist. While certain people are profiting from this, again, the people who are behind it. It's amazing to me that people can't figure out that there's no separation between Russia and the U.S. Again, these nations are one and the same. Their flags almost look identical. The Soviet Union and the U.S. once upon a time. Ukraine is, again, Ukraine's like if the United States broke up into smaller nations and then they started warring with each other 20 years later. That's what's going on with Russia and Ukraine. And what was the Russian leader that had the big birthmark on his head? I told you, I can't even think of his name right now. I told you, is it Gorbachev? I told you he was going to die right at the start of this war, and sure enough, he did. It's all connected. It's all been nothing but ritual, and it's been the Jesuits the whole way all along. Anyway, now they're going to meet on August 15th, and I want to remind you something about August 15th. Not only is it the Jesuit Order's birthday, it is the day leaving 138 days left in the air, and you know whose name equals 138, right? Donald Trump. Donald Trump, 138. Most simple cipher. Learn your Gematria. It's also 60, like he won the 60th election. And let's not forget what happened to his ex-wife. The same day he said he'd run in the 60th election, which was July 14, 2022. That was the same day his ex-wife fell down the stairs and died. Exactly 60 weeks into the first ever Jesuit Ignatian year. And again, all this 60 business going on, 60-minute suit, the National Public Broadcasting Corporation closing its doors after 60 years, nothing but ritual, all of this stuff. Learn these ciphers. If you're new here, these are the 4 base ciphers of the English language. The alphabetic order, A is 1 up to Z is 26. The reverse alphabetic order, you can see Donald Trump's 159 there. I'm sure, remember last year, all the incidents with the Secret Service while it was 159 years old, including the supposed golf course near death on the 15th day of the 9th month. Butler, a town named after a 48-year-old, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, alphabetic order with numerology, reverse alphabetic order with numerology. You learn these ciphers. You see that it's ritual every day in the news. And Trump, who went to Fordham, the Jesuit University in New York City, just happens to be born on the day leaving 138 days left in the year, which corresponds perfectly with August 15th. And I want to talk to the Misfits because they have that song, We Are 138. Who told them to write that song? A lot of Jesuits in show business, too. Including Donald Trump, who's a Hollywood actor. And including Zelensky, who was an actor before he became a puppet president himself. And, of course, Zelensky turned 47 5 days after Trump took office. And notice how Trump alone, I know it's Trump 88. Again, on 8-8, him and Vladimir are meeting. Did you see the Mets? Yesterday, the Mets got their 53rd loss versus Milwaukee with number 53 on the mound for the Brewers. But the reason I'm bringing this up is Trump had his convention in Milwaukee, obviously. They did the ritual with J.D. Vance, the youngest VP nominee since Teddy Roosevelt, who was shot once upon a time in Milwaukee and became president after the 25th president, McKinley, died. Like, Trump's first action as president was to rename McKinley or Mount Denali back to Mount McKinley. But anyway, again, on 8-8, the reason I'm bringing this up, Milwaukee and the Mets, the orange team from New York, like Trump's the orange guy from New York. Yesterday, by Milwaukee beating the Mets, they became 88 and 88 against each other all time. Think about it. The team that's most closely connected to Trump in terms of colors and city versus the city where he had his convention, they just happened to become 88 and 88 against each other all time. Here, I'll just show you this real quick. Mets record versus Brewers. 88 and 88. And yes, again, every morning we do the sports on Patreon. We had the Mets to pick up their 53rd loss versus number 53 on the mound again for Milwaukee. Again, learn these ciphers. You'll see through the ritualism from rigged news to rigged sports because it's the same people controlling the whole thing. Again, who said it was August 8th, 2025 anyway? Oh, that's right. The Jesuits did. We're on their calendar. Isn't it amazing that we're on the calendar of a Jesuit order and the average American doesn't even know who the Jesuits are? Something that's an order that's largely responsible for how this nation came to exist, and the people who were founding the country were warning that if the Jesuits come out of suppression, they can subvert the nation. And here we are in the 21st century, the information age, and almost nobody knows about any of this stuff. Think about that. That's where we are right now. The land of the over-entertained and absolutely clueless. And then when you show them the truth, and they outright deny it because they have these thoughts in their head like, well, I would have learned about this in slave school if it was important. My teachers would have told me. Nope. Wrong. Your school was to make you the slave that you are. That's what it was here for. That's why most people walk out of that door as a senior in high school with no skills and no real knowledge about anything. And like I always say, are qualified now to go, well, you don't have to run the check stand anymore at Walmart. You just got to stand there and make sure people aren't stealing anything with the self-scan. And then even if they are, you can't even do anything about it because the rule is unless they took $900 worth of something, which is what it is in most cities, you're not even supposed to do anything about it. Anyway, your job is to stand there and do nothing, and that's what most Americans are doing, and that's why things are as bad as they are. People are watching all this evil stuff go on and doing nothing about it. They're waiting for an invisible man to come down from the clouds and save everything. And who told them that story? Oh, that's right, the Jesuits, who are the Society of Jesus. They got you from all fronts, taught you everything you didn't need to know, wasted all your time as a child, and put ideas in your head that are totally bullshit, but they got you parked on your ass. You can't see how this all worked out? Again, blame the Jesuits. They're the ones who made you as dumb as you are. But yeah, here we are. August 15th, the Jesuit Order's birthday and the day of Trump and Putin. And by the way, with regards to 88, Vladimir is also 88. Vladimir. Okay, we're going to start there because it transitioned so perfectly into what I've been talking about nonstop since the very start of 2020, before the scam even got underway. The simulation that still isn't amazing. It's like the American people, they don't know about anything that they need to know about. The average American still doesn't know about Event 201. You tell them about it, they act like they're disinterested because in default in their mind, like, well, if that was important, the news probably would have told me about it. Dirt. You know what I mean? Isn't it sad? People might not like my channel because of the way I mock the existence of the average American, but am I not correct? I'm 1,000,000% correct. All these dumb ideas because you were made dumb. You think the news is going to tell you the truth? They lie to you every day. You think you should have learned important things in school? You didn't learn anything important in school. It's why you have no skills. Your time was wasted. Your childhood was stolen from you. You learned a whole bunch of false history so that when you walked out the doors as a senior, you said, man, I live in the greatest country there ever was. We're so free. Freedom. And the only thing that was true about it was the dumb part. Anyway. Let's go through the CDC/Emory shooting. We covered this a little bit yesterday, but now they're saying the shooter is an anti-vaxxer, targeting the CDC because he believes the COVID jab took his health southward, which a lot of American people could say, yeah, my health definitely went south after I took that thing. I was perfectly fine until I took that thing. And don't forget who warned you about that thing before it was even out there. Yeah, yours truly. I was out on the streets of America on a bullhorn telling people what was up. Again, wrote a book about it before it even came out. The information was out there for anybody who took the time to actually do the real research. But look at this, you guys. Look at all the familiar details. Did you know that look at this. The anti-vaxxer is a 30-year-old, right? Who killed a 33-year-old police officer. Now, the word vaccine is 30. You see how it's also 57? This happened 269 days after the leader of the Jesuit Order's birthday, which is the 57th prime. And again, every face of the pandemic was a Jesuit. I'm talking about Fauci. I'm talking about Trump. I'm talking about Cuomo. I'm talking about Newsom. I'm talking about Redfield. I'm talking about even more than that. Just a Jesuit here, a Jesuit there. They were all Jesuits, all the faces we saw all the time. Not to mention it was the Jesuit-led World Economic Forum that first simulated the pandemic. But yeah, we have a 30-year-old take out a 33-year-old police officer. This is the anti-vaxxer shooting yesterday in Atlanta on the 33rd parallel. And did you see the name of the officer? David Rose. What's Rose to the Masons? It's the symbol of secrecy. But you can see how police is 33 forwards, 30 in reverse, not to mention Atlanta's on the 33rd parallel. Secrecy, of course, is 33. That's what the rose symbolizes in secret societies. Masonry, 33. So David Rose got shot and killed, reportedly. But yeah, a 30-year-old anti-vaxxer named Patrick Joseph White. And his name equals 99 like Friday. They put out his name today. And the officer is 33-year-old David Rose. Wasn't it just a week ago? How many 33 stories have there been since a week ago when I did the interview with the Occult Rejects? And again, I wasn't planning on talking about 33, but they made 33 the thumbnail. So I said, well, let's just talk about 33 and why it's so important to the Masons and what it has to do with humanity and the 33 bones of the human vertebrae, which has to do with Kundalini, which Masonry is all about. And the point I made is, the Masons celebrate 33 historically because, again, Kundalini and about spiritual ascension, but there's also the law of reversals. And it seems that what the media does is they use this not to uplift people, but they're constantly including the 33 in really low vibration stuff, fear-inducing stuff, to send people to a polar state way down south where, again, when you're in fear, you're easily controlled. Government can show up and say, oh, here, do this, this, and this, and you'll be safe. Give up this, this, and this, and we'll keep you safe. The corporations can walk in and say, buy this, this, and this, and you'll be safe. I mean, how many times are you guys watching a YouTube video and it cuts to an ad, and the ad is, did you know that online hackers could be getting into your password right now? Sign up for $33 a month and you won't have anything to worry about. There is such a thing as online hackers, you guys, because I did have a day in my life. It was the Ides of March back in 2017. It was right before all my accounts got deleted for the first time. There was a day where I had every single different online account I have hacked, and I did use a variation of the same password. Some had an exclamation point, some had 2 extra numbers in it. But somehow, some way, every single account I had got hacked, and I still remember which of the first accounts got hacked was. It was my Facebook. If you guys were here at that time, you might recall somebody got into my Facebook and just started deleting all of my friends. I was at the max 5,000. They started deleting everybody. And then I ended up losing the whole thing. But it started with Facebook, and then it was everything. They even hacked my Skype, and then they started dialing everybody in my Skype contacts. It was a disaster. But the reason it matters that the first thing that was hacked was Facebook. What's Facebook's address? Do you guys know Facebook's address? Facebook headquarters address. Let's see if Google's hiding what it is. I mean, you can drive right to the building and see what it is. Yeah, there it is. It's down here in the subheadlines. The address for Facebook is One Hacker Way. And don't forget, Facebook launched February 4th, 2004, the same day that what concluded? Oh, yeah, that's right. The military Facebook, which was called LifeLog, ran by DARPA. DARPA's LifeLog ends, and then simultaneously Facebook launches. If you don't think Facebook is military intelligence, you're kidding yourself. And that address is also no joke. And, of course, it is the governments that have the top hackers. And everyone can understand why I got destroyed as soon as Chump came in office, because nobody was doing a better job on the internet of exposing what a puppet Chump was than yours truly. And again, Trump comes back into office, and what happens? 7 days later, my Twitter account's deleted, which is now X, run by Jesuit puppet Elon Musk. Yeah, the world's a stage and the Jesuits run it. But yeah, I mean, how blatant is this stuff? A 30-year-old anti-vaxxer kills a 33-year-old police officer? Why didn't they teach us this in slave school? Think about, imagine you had actually learned this in slave school as a child, and you went through your life watching the news. How many times do you think this would have dawned on you? Like, wow, another 33-year-old police officer in a mass shooting story. Last week, it was the 33rd floor in New York, which equals 33. All synced up with the NFL commissioner in a Scottish Rite ritual when the American football is credited to the Scottish Rite Freemason Walter Camp. You know, it's just, yeah, but that's the story now. This guy was mad. He claims the pokey doke for Cooties 19 made him sick. So he went and he shot up the CDC. And remember, it started with Emory before it went to the CDC. And what do we point out right away about Emory? We pointed out that it's at address 201, like event 201 was the simulation for Cooties 19. Again, the Jesuit Order equals 201. A lot of 201 rituals with Cooties. Okay. Remember, Sandy Lindsay was the first person to get the Cooties 19 jab on December 14th. I have a typo here. Let me fix this typo. It's going to drive me nuts. It says 2018. So let's say 2020. It's not going to change the measurement. I just had a typo here. Sandy Lindsay was the first person to get the Cooties 19 jab on the anniversary of Sandy Hook. Okay? And let's put together why all this matters. Okay, remember all the 56s here. Oh, by the way, David Rose, 56. Okay, the guy who's killed by the guy who's mad about the Cooties 19 jab. Okay, David Rose has the 56. Keep that in mind. But notice this list here, and I actually didn't put something on that list that there's actually numerous things that should be on that list. Notice, they called it this, right? The COVID VACCINE, which is 56. Just like the virus itself is 56, okay? So all these things are 56. Society of Jesus, Washington, D.C., Anthony Fauci. Keep in mind, yesterday was the 56th day of Trump's age as well, the father of the jab, as they set up the meeting on the Society of Jesus' birthday with him and Putin. So you have this double 56 thing going on, because yesterday was also, we're in the 56th month since Sandy Lindsay got the Cooties 19 jab on December 14th, 2020. Again, that was the anniversary of Sandy Hook, which was established in 1956, and the shooting was 56 years later, and we'll touch more on that in a second again. Got to show that same slide I've covered a million times, but it really proves the point. Kobe was buried in Corona Del Mar, and he was in a pharmaceutical lawsuit. Oh, let's not forget, they said the shooting was by the CVS as well, since they had to bring in the pharmacy. They had to bring in a university, a pharmacy, and the CDC into this shooting. Of course, if you wanted to go to school in the time of the cooties, you had to be pokey-doked. If you wanted to go to work, for most of you, had to be pokey-doked. It goes with Revelation 13. You know, you had to accept the 666 if you wanted to, you know, participate in society. The story in Revelation 13, like how the first corona simulation was exactly 666 days before the pandemic was declared. But yeah, toilet paper. Remember, Corona made the toilet paper sell out, and mind control goes without saying, and Black Lives Matter. The motto was, I can't breathe, when people were losing their lungs in the hospital over the cooties. They couldn't breathe. A lot of the machines blew them up. If you didn't go to the hospital, you probably would have just gotten better, like most people do from the flu. But if you went to the hospital, you probably didn't make it out. And remember, they had a financial incentive for you to not make it out, because they got paid a whole lot of money if somebody died there from Cooties 19. What a novel system. Isn't it amazing that people... Imagine that. Imagine going to a building where if you die there, they're going to get a huge paycheck for that. If you don't die there, they don't get it. And this stuff was going on. And that's what bothers me about this platform, is you cannot tell the truth without getting deleted. Again, I got firsthand knowledge of things that went on in the hospitals where people should have made it out and they didn't make it out. But think about that. Imagine going into a building and you're told, hey, by the way, if you die in there today, they're going to make a bunch of money if you die. Would you still go in that building for treatment? Like, maybe I'll go somewhere else. Maybe I'll go to another country. Is there another country that doesn't have that incentive? Because that's what was going on over here. And who was paying all that money, by the way, to the hospitals? The government. And where's the government money come from? We, the taxpayers. And now things have gotten so out of hand, they have to implement tariffs, and just everything's getting more expensive for us. We're paying for these crazy policies, paying for what's going on in Israel, what's going on in Ukraine. Can't figure out who's done it yet. You still haven't figured out the who done it yet. You must be pretty stupid if you haven't figured it out yet. And that's what they're counting on. That's the one thing they're really counting on. They're counting on that more than these numbers. You to maintain your level of stupidity, where you keep watching news and believing the lies that are told to you every day, and just marching forward and turning on the news for more lies to be told to you, and going into church and giving money to some other asshole who doesn't care about anything other than, you know, all the money he's going to collect from the collection plate while he sells you another load of shit. People need to wake up. Religion and government are the two most evil things, and they go hand in hand. Like I said, it is the church that runs this nation. That's why there's all that Roman architecture all over the Capitol. And it's also why the Capitol moved to Washington, D.C. after the Jesuit University was set up there. Not to mention, again, Washington, D.C. also has those same numbers. 2020 was full of outages and natural disasters, and we called those before they even happened as well. The power of this knowledge. But food shortages, again, 56 is what defined 2020. And I didn't write it down there either, but the reason there was so much 56 in 2020, no doubt, was also connected to this. If you just spell out 2020 as words, it's 56. Okay. So in the 56th month since the first person got jabbed, on the 56th day of Trump's age, this happens, right? On the 33rd parallel. And by the way, just Corona, like the beer alone. Remember, they had to shut down the Corona plant over Corona as well. Corona is also 30 and 33. That should have been up there in light of we have a 30-year-old shooter and a 33-year-old cop. Or a 33-year-old cop. But okay, this is the other thing. Again, just this joke right in front of people's face that went over almost everyone's head. When they put out this story of Patrick Dragon, the Sandy Hook first responder who died from Cooties 19, they put out an image of him next to license plate 56. And imagine being us. January 5th, 2021. I mean, I had been a broken record for a whole year up to this point about how important 56 was to the ritualism. And then just like a big slap in the face, they put out this story. And you know, this is about a month after the person got the shot, and we were already pointing out, like, come on, Sandy Lindsay on the anniversary of Sandy Hook, the school established in 56, where it was shot up in 2012, 56 years later. And again, look at the shooter's name, Adam Peter Lanza, 56. You see how Society of Jesus is 56 and 79? Trump is 79 years old right now. Like, gold's the 79th element, Mr. Gold. We're in the golden era. But yesterday would have been 55 days after his birthday or the 56th day of his age, Trump. Same birthday as the flag. But yeah, how they just keep doing this. Again, shots fired at the school, a different type of shots in the arm. For some people, had the same end result as getting shot by some hot lead. Again, they're not here to talk about it anymore, young and old. And like I said, the World Health Organization, they just came up with their shot declaration for the world on May 20th this year, which is the day in history that the leader of the Society of Jesus was shot, Cannonball Day. A day of annual jokes that go over everyone's head because almost nobody in the world knows who the Jesuits are, even though they're all over the place. Because nobody's paying attention to anything that matters. Sports games, entertainment, consumerism. It's that George Orwell quote from 1984. All it took to fill up the horizons of their mind was football, beer, and gambling, or however it's worded. It's exactly right. Nobody knows anything about anything that matters. Everyone's caught up in the stuff that really doesn't matter. I mean, it is nice to have things and be entertained, but at the end of the day, stuff doesn't matter. How were people feeling when we were on lockdown and they couldn't go to school or be with their community or go to church or go to work? Or they were somebody who, like I remember my friend King Henry, he had a friend who'd saved up so hard to open up a gym, which he had just recently done. And it was a risk for him because, you know, he didn't buy it outright. He has a mortgage to pay and all the bills that come with it, renting the spot. And then all of a sudden, he has this huge financial liability and he's not allowed to open. How many people have stories like this? My point is that same type of guy probably went through his whole life not paying attention to anything that mattered. Oh, it's beyond me, man. I'm going to sit back and watch the game this week and drink beer with the buddies. And, you know, good for him, lift some weights. But this is the consequences of not knowing what's going on in the world. Because when there is a cabal that does rule over you and not like, oh, it's some conspiracy theory, you realize it's actually a real thing. When they implement their shit, your life can be thrown upside down, and you might end up in the grave. A lot of people end up in the grave when these people implement their plans, whether they get sent off to war or, again, they get the wrong they draw the short stick of the jab, or, you know what I mean? Not to mention, by the way, they always had to report that Adam Landa weighed 112 pounds, like Sandy Hook equals 112, but the Jesuits also operate in 112 countries. But yeah, I don't know how anyone looks at this stuff and just thinks it's all a coincidence over and over. Because the ritualism is so blatant. The same numbers, the same names, the same dates, the same stuff over and over and over again. And now we're talking about this ritual in the 56th month since the jab, on the 56th day of Trump's age, the father of the jab while he's 79 years old. Look at it. This post is from 4.5 years ago. This is a 4.5-year-old post, but these same number patterns come together all the time. Okay. And if you missed the other routine details, again, Emory's at 201. Event 201 was the simulation. They had to incorporate, see how they brought it all together? A university whose address is 201 with the CDC. And again, remember who the CDC was founded by? I think I put it down here. Dr. Joseph Mountain. This is the CDC founder, whose name is 201. Don't forget when Redfield got replaced by Walensky, how she came down with the Cooties 19. I think it was 201 days after her birthday. Yeah. She had cooties 19, 201 days after her birthday. This is... I hate these people, man. I've been talking about what they did with The Walking Dead and the little joke they have in the first season with the CDC paying tribute to Jesus and the resurrection of zombies. But yeah, the CDC founders also a 201. And remember, the only two CDCs that participated in the Event 201 simulation were the ones from the US and China. There's CDCs in other countries, but the only ones that participated in Event 201 were US and China, the two countries that were instrumental in getting it popping. Go figure. And again, just the stupid reporting too, how they have to say, one person filmed 8 gunshots ringing out on 8/8. And by the way, if you went back to my earliest work in 2015, I still remember what I explained. They were just coding 88 with Trump all the time, right? All the time. And I explained in 2015, this is a decade ago now, I said, I think what it's about is that he's just poisonous. Like he's super polarizing. A lot of his rhetoric is absolutely awful, but certain people love it mostly because they're awful people too. And if that offends the awful people, I don't give a shit. If you like this proud pussy grabber who wants to fuck his own daughter and was caught decades ago flirting with a 10-year-old saying he's going to date her in 10 years, you're a sick puppy. You essentially support a pedo who has a lot of other problems, who's just a total egomaniac. And what's he so proud of? Born with a silver spoon in his mouth, fat orange blob. He looks ridiculous, probably has the worst haircut in the history of humanity. Shave that ugly shit off. Anyway, this guy's poison. Poison 88. And don't forget who loves to use arsenic poisoning as their go-to method of killing. That phrase is also 88, and you see the 187 like Society of Jesus. It's the Jesuits. The Jesuits, part of the reason they were suppressed is because they were being accused of murdering people for political reasons and using arsenic, which, by the way, is also the 33rd element on the periodic table. And look into the 33-day Pope who said he was going to take the mafia out of the Vatican bank. The Vatican has a central bank, and he went to sleep on the Jesuit Order's anniversary of being recognized by the Roman Catholic Church and never woke up again. And the Vatican doesn't permit autopsies, so the speculation is that he was poisoned with arsenic and likely for what he was planning to do to the Vatican Bank. But since it happened on the Jesuit Order's birthday and they're accused of killing with arsenic, do you think that maybe there's something there, especially since there's a historical record of them being accused of doing just that? Okay. But yeah, what a day. We knew 88 would be full of whoppers. Don't forget, it's the time travel speed in Back to the Future. And Biff, Tannen, the character in Back to the Future, is literally based on Donald Trump. If you don't know that, just look it up. I'm not going to do everything for you. It's a fact. We've been covering that since 2015. He used to be a gentleman in this community who went by the name Brother Berg. He focused all his early research back in 2015 on just that. And don't forget what the New York Post did last year, right before Trump was reinstalled by the numbers, which we told you would happen years in advance. Look at this, you guys. On October 25th, this was the headline of the New York Post, Back to the Future. What is October 25th in Back to the Future? In Back to the Future, October 25th is the date the movie begins. And then in Back to the Future, the election was on, remember the 5th of November. That's the day the Jesuits tried to kill King James. Like, again, they tried to kill King James, but they failed. They tried to kill Trump, who won in the King James ritual in the first election, and then had his convention in Cleveland right after LeBron won on the real King James's birthday. But yeah, November 5th is the day the Jesuits tried to kill King James. The election was on November 5th last year. And in Back to the Future, November 5th is a crucial date because it's the day Dr. Emmett Brown first conceived the flux capacitor, the device that makes time travel possible, when he hits 88 miles per hour in his DeLorean. And again, the reason that gets more interesting is, the conspiracy theories about Nikola Tesla. Some people think he figured out how to time travel. But remember, Tesla equals 78, Jesuit equals 78. Who was declared the world's richest man for the first time ever, passing Jeff Bezos that day on the 78th death anniversary of Nikola Tesla? Go back and look. It was January 7th, 2021. If you need another clue, he was wearing this. I'm Dark Mega 78 as he went next to Trump after the Butler shooting hoax, Butler 78. Remember all this? And Butler's 84, like he showed up in Butler 84 days after the hoax, Trump returned. If you can't figure out what I'm talking about Elon Musk. Again, Musk and Trump ally while Trump was 78 years old. Like there's 78 cards in the tarot deck. And by the way, don't forget that tarot cards equals 119 either, because Trump takes office again with the 119th Congress, the first time they called the election for him on November 9th. But again, just this thing with Musk and Trump. They're all connected through the number 78. When Tesla died, Trump's uncle, he did the audit of Tesla's research papers. So Trump's family has a historical connection to Tesla. And then Musk, obviously, you know, is connected to the company named Tesla. It is interesting, the rumors of time travel in light of the thing with Back to the Future. And here, I'll just put it up here. Why not? Some people are that lazy. If he didn't put it up there, it's probably not true. IMDb even has an article on this. Wikipedia talks about it. The Guardian talks about it. Biff Tannen, based on Trump. You don't think you're just being laughed at every day by this media as they run articles like this? And also just about the year 55. Remember, Mega is the highest degree of the Church of Satan. I meant to write Satan. Satan's 55. Mega is the highest degree. Don't ever forget that when Obama was president, Barack means lightning, like Satan comes to earth in a bolt of lightning, and Luke 10:18, like event 201 was on October 18th, 10:18. But again, Obama, on the Church of Satan's 45th birthday, April 30th, 2011, it was the date of the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Seems like they do bring out their biggest jokes on the populace at the White House Correspondents' Dinner if you're paying attention year after year, just like we were talking about what they did with Bush and Ozzy Osbourne paying tribute to Aleister Crowley. But again, on the 45th birthday of the Church of Satan, Obama told the world that Trump would become the next president, number 45. Mega, the highest degree of the Church of Satan. The degrees of the Church of Satan. Every time I bring it up, somebody has to troll in the comments. That's not true. Here, let's go to the Church of Satan's website right here. Let's just go straight to the horse's mouth. This is their website. And right here, the 5th degree. What's it called? Mega or the Megas? And technically, Mega is for the women, but are you sure that Trump's not a woman? Look at those hands. Look at that body. Did you see the disease he just got in his legs? The lady disease? It mostly happens 90% of the time in women. The disease equals 47. Hold on. I already forget what the acronym is. Hold on. Let's see if I got it here. Shoot. This is a story for just a couple weeks ago. Let me go out to my chat. Who remembers what the 3 letters are for the thing that Trump got, the problem that ladies have? Does anyone remember what it's called? Can the chat help me out with this one? What is the thing Trump was recently diagnosed with that mostly only women get? We all got amnesia. So far, nobody's got it. But we just covered this a few weeks back. Trump diagnosed with leg. We'll see leg problems. See if it pulls it up. Yes, CVI. CVI. This is it. CVI. 47, just like Trump. There it is. CVI. For the ladies. Wouldn't surprise me one bit. Think about it. What is the symbol of the Church of Satan? Baphomet, who's male and female. Wouldn't surprise me in the least. Especially in the age of all the gender bender stuff. And don't forget, that goes right back to the 201s as well. Caitlyn Jenner. All right. I'm going to leave it there for now. Thanks again to everyone who hits the like and the share. Always appreciate the support. And if anything else happens today, I'll be sure to be back. But It really is bothersome. And by the way, if people think I'm mean in the way, I wouldn't be so mean and ranty if I hadn't been, living the existence I have ever since September 11th, 2001, where I've been absolutely demonized by the American populace, who I really do resent, and for good reason. These people are mostly trash. They want to be ignorant. They're completely stupid. They really do turn on the TV expecting to get good information when all it does is lie to them, and tells them the most obvious lies that their brain should tell them in an instant. Oh, I'm being lied to. Oh, those buildings turning to dust as they crumble in the air doesn't make any sense. 3 steel frame buildings have never collapsed from fires except for until this one day in history, and one of them wasn't even hit by a plane. Not to mention, I don't think any of the 3 were hit by planes, because the first image of a plane was a computer glitch where they showed it fly all the way through the tower with its nose intact. So if they lied to you there about that one, what makes you think any of it was true? But yeah, again, and what's also annoying is that a lot of people are not aware of any of this because they haven't taken any time to do any research, because they're losers. And I don't know how else to describe it. If you're not looking for truth in this world, by my definition, you're a loser. You should be looking for truth. You shouldn't be bowing down to tyranny and insulting the people who see through the lies. That makes you a loser. And I'm sick of living in a society of losers, and I'm sick of having to bear the consequences of what's going on at the top, what we call the government, from their agenda after agenda, and what it's now all doing to us, and being the person who's been speaking out about it and warning against it since I was 18 years old when that day happened in September of 2001. I saw through it very quickly, and I saw very quickly my fellow people were a bunch of assholes, because all they could do is talk shit back to me and say I was crazy when I was speaking nothing but facts. And this shit goes on every day. The last 5 years, again, I've been here for a lot longer than 5 years, but the last 5 years I've been laying it down really thick and undeniably, and people are still denying it. It's absolutely pathetic as this goes on 8/8. As they set the big date for the Jesuit birthday and they do this ritual, just bring it, again, it's pathetic, man. It's pathetic. I don't like going down on the sinking ship with a boat full of losers who still haven't figured out 2 + 2 = 4. It's something else. So if you don't like my attitude, tough shit, join my side of the aisle and you'll start to see why I am the way I am and why more people should be this way. And guess what? Had more people been my way, the world would be a whole lot better right now, because nobody would have fallen for Cooties 19. Nobody would have fallen for 9/11. All the things that have really fucked us up. And if you don't realize those are the things that fucked us up, you're dumb. A lot of wasted money, a lot of wasted resources, a lot of big bills for us, which are coming due, which is why the orange goon has imposed tariffs, which a lot of you are too stupid to even understand is just a tax on us. And then you go listen to some bullshit news. Oh, I just watched Fox News and they said it what? Fox News was founded by Republicans, you fucking retard. You think they're going to tell you the truth, or you think they're just going to give you partisan shit so you keep marching with that side of the aisle? That's also why people are pathetic. Well, I just watched Fox News. Who's watching Fox News and thinking that's real information? Only a moron. Just like all these news stations are only appealing to morons. I'm fed up with all of it. All right, we're leaving it there for now, Truth Seeker. And until next time.